We're now live, everybody. So dot your P's and Q's and
You don't dot your P's and Q's. Dot your eyes, you silly Billy.
what do you do with your P's and Q's?
Watch
Cross
them.
you cross them?
No, you watch them.
Watch your P's and Q's and dot your I's.
Yes.
Oh, can I say one thing for just a second?
Absolutely not.
Oh, thank you for that. In reference to what Nanda Patni and I were discussing, I just saw a picture of the cover of the book, Our Srila Prabhupada, A Friend to All, and
Yeah.
I see a photo of my Guru Maharaj in the lower left corner. So
Oh,
he
good.
must have been. He must have been.
Can you hold it up so we can see what you're talking about?
I don't have any.
Well, it's
Oh, I
I
know.
don't. It's on a screen. I don't know how good you'll be able to see.
Yes,
this.
you can see it down a bit. Yeah.
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 So.
Excellent. Okay, thanks for looking for that, because I
Yeah.
you know, it's nice to meet.
I just want to tell him, and then I'll close because I
We'll have
want
to
Yeah.
call Trini on
Actually,
mute.
right there. Yeah.
Okay, she's on mute.
I wasn't
is.
doing it right the first time.
Oh, okay.
Maharaj.
Lower left, the Prabhu Krishna Chandra, lower left, as you.
It's the lower left, but I'm just.
Okay.
I wasn't doing it correctly the first
Okay.
time.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
We were talking with Narasimha Prabhu last night, and although you know Srila Narayan Maharaj is his guru, he also accepts. I don't know who it is that's heading up Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj's mat, but he said he takes him as one of his Shiksha gurus.
Mhm.
Very likely Srila Bhakti Vichar Vishnu Maharaj. Pretty
Yes.
much.
I'm not familiar with him. Maybe I can hear him someday if you send me a link.
Oh yeah, he's speaking all the time now on YouTube.
So send me a link, okay? So
Not a problem. Yep.
I can check him out.
Yep.
All right. So without further ado, then we'll go on to Tamadurastika here. Unless I don't think that Nanda Patni's at her piano, and I don't think Bhavatrini's got her guitar ready, so I'll just chant this myself then.
Yes.
But if anyone would like to book themselves for chanting this, no, actually, Damadarasika will be done tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to do the other melody, the one that I heard from Chutananda many moons ago. Yay, Shuddha Sindhu is here. Did you bring your son, Shuddha Sindhu? I hope you'll bring your son one of these days. And Rasangi's here. Okay, here's the other melody. Hare
Krishna.
Welcome.
I'm walking.
Okay, you're walking and we'll do singing. Namamisparam Sachirananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyo Lukaladavamanam Paramrishtam Matyantato Dritya Gopya Rudantam Muhur Nitra Yugmang Mrijantam Karamboja Yugnena Satanka Netram Muhushwashakam Patrire Hankakanta Shtita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Badam Iti Driksali Labir Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajjantam Makya Payantam Tadi Eshita Geshu Paktarjitatvam Puna Primata Hastam Shatabiti Mande Varam Deva Mokshamna Moksha Vadim Va Nachanyang Vrinehang Pareshadapiha Idang Teva Purnata Gopala Balam Sadame Manata Virastam Kimanyai Idang Te Mukam Bojam Atyanta Nilaya Pritang Kuntalai Snigda Raktaischa Gopya Muhushchumbitam Bimba Rakta Darang Me Manasya Virastamalang Lakshalabai Namo Deva Damoda Prananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Chalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinang Batanu Grihane Shamamagyam Edi Akshi Drishya Kuverat Majaubadha Murtyai Bayad Vat Tvaya Mochita Ho Bhakti Pajau Kritaucha Tata Prema Bhakting Swakame Prayacha Namokshe Grahomisti Tamodareha Namaste Stu Damne Spuradipti Damne Tvadiyodarahayata Vishvasa Damne Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To the Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. So then it'll be Krishna Chandra, Nanda Patni, Bhavatarini, and I think it's Shuddha Sindhus after that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he's only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times. Bhavatarini, are you there? There she is. Is anyone there? Hello.
They appear to be in the background. Perhaps,
Shuddha Sindhu?
yes.
Can she read?
Okay. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benediction, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours, as Bala Gopala in Vrindavana, may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any of other boon besides this?
O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. Krishna Chandra.
O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your grace of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes.
O Lord Damodar, just as the two sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation.
O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes.
Shri Damodarastaka Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Okay, and I searched for a little bit of artwork here to commemorate what we'll be reading tonight, Krishna's hiding from the Gopis. And
Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who
whoops. All right, here's one painting I found. This is Krishna leaving the Rasa Leela dance. So I'm assuming that this is the same Leela. Would you say so? Krishna's hiding there and the Gopis are consoling Radharani. Is this the same pastime, to the best of your knowledge? Shamarani's artwork.
It's the Gopis in the foreground there, like Radha is the one in the purple sari.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine there are a number of pastimes where he hides from them, but
Does Baba Trini know? Does Nirhari know? Does Rasangi know?
I mean, do you remember that he hid when he left the Rasa dance? Because
Yes.
the Gopis were looking everywhere for him.
I think this is the correct painting, as far as I know.
Usually there's a name on Shamarani's painting. There's usually a name on that painting. I wonder if there's a name to this one.
Well,
You
then
know what I mean?
I'd have to stop the share and then I'd have to go.
It's okay. It's beautiful. Let's just read. It's gorgeous.
Okay, thank you. And also I found this painting, as this is like the original painting of Gopi searching for Krishna.
Love that. I remember first seeing paintings like that in the British Museum in London.
Yes, the British stole many of them.
Oh, yeah. And the beautiful Mughal paintings too.
Yeah. Now, I don't know enough about Vedic art to say if this is Kangra style or...
I think it is actually.
Is it?
Which is done with these tiny, tiny filaments.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Love it.
Gorgeous.
And it looks like the Raman Reti sands, doesn't it?
White.
The land.
Beautiful.
Okay, here's the pastime, folks. Chapter 30, Krishna's hiding from the Gopis. When Krishna suddenly disappeared from the company of the Gopis, they began to search for him in every place. After not finding him anywhere, they became afraid and almost mad after him. They were simply thinking of the pastimes of Krishna in great love and affection. Being absorbed in thought, they experienced loss of memory. And with dampened eyes, they began to see the very pastimes of Krishna, his beautiful talks with them, his embracing, kissing, and other activities. Being so attracted to Krishna, they began to imitate his dancing, his walking and smiling as if they themselves were Krishna. Due to Krishna's absence, they all became crazy. Each one of them began to tell the others that she was Krishna himself. So, I suppose the psychologists, they would have a category for that kind of craziness, but of course they can never understand this. I'm just thinking it's very unique state where you're so crazy about someone that you start thinking that you're them. I don't think modern psychology has a category for that yet. Soon they all began to assemble together and chant Krishna's name very loudly, and they moved from one part of the forest to another, searching for him. Actually, Krishna is all pervasive. He is in the sky and he is in the forest. He is within the heart and he is always everywhere. The gopis therefore began to question the trees and plants about Krishna. There were various types of big trees and small plants in the forest, and the gopis began to address them. Dear banyan tree, have you seen the son of Maharaj Nanda passing this way, laughing and playing on his flute? He has stolen our hearts and has gone away. If you have seen him, kindly inform us which way he has gone. Dear Ashok tree, dear Naga tree, flowered tree, and Champak flowered tree, have you seen the younger brother of Balaram pass this way? He has disappeared because of our pride. The gopis were aware of the reason for Krishna's sudden disappearance. They could understand that when they were enjoying Krishna, they thought themselves to be the most fortunate women within the universe. And since they were feeling proud, Krishna disappeared immediately just to curb their pride. Krishna does not like his devotees to be proud of their service to him. He accepts everyone's service, but he does not like one devotee to be prouder than others. If sometimes there are such feelings, Krishna ends them by changing his attitude toward the devotee, Krishna Chandra, and then Nanda Patni.
The gopis then began to address the Tulsi plants. Dear Tulsi, you are much beloved by Lord Krishna because your leaves are always at his lotus feet. Dear Malati flower, dear Malika flower, dear jasmine flower, all of you must have been touched by Krishna while he was passing this way after giving us transcendental enjoyment. Have you seen Madhava passing this way? O mango trees, O trees of jackfruit, O pear trees and asana trees, O blackberries and bale trees and trees of kadamba flower. You are all very pious trees to be living on the bank of Yamuna. Krishna must have passed through this way. Will you kindly let us know which way he has gone? The gopis then looked upon the ground they were traversing and began to address the earth. Dear earthly planet, we do not know how many penances and austerities you have undergone to be now living with the footprints of Lord Krishna upon you. You are very jolly. The hairs on your body are these jubilant trees and plants. Lord Krishna must have been very much pleased with you. Otherwise, how could he have embraced you in, in the form of Varaha the boar? When you were submerged in water, he delivered you, taking the whole weight of your existence in his tusks. After addressing the innumerable trees and plants, they turned their faces toward the beautiful deer who were looking on them very pleasingly. It appears they addressed the deer that Krishna, who is the supreme Narayan himself, must have passed through this way along with his companion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Otherwise, how is it possible that the aroma of his garland, which is smeared with the red kumkum from the breast of the goddess of fortune, can be perceived in the breeze blowing here? It appears they must have passed through here and touched your bodies, and thus you are feeling so pleasant that you are looking toward us with sympathy. Will you kindly therefore inform us which way Krishna has gone? Krishna is the well-wisher of Vrindavan. He is as kind to you as to us. Therefore, after leaving us, he must have been present in your company. O fortunate trees, we are thinking of Krishna, the younger brother of Balaram. While passing through here with one hand resting on the shoulder of the goddess of fortune and the other hand whirling a lotus flower, He must have been very pleased to accept your obeisances, and he must have glanced at you with great pleasure.
I have a comment.
Sure.
I didn't realize that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, had actually been that intimate with him, especially around the rasa dance. I thought she was just relegated to looking on from the distance. And yet here it's saying that, the kumkum from her breasts are on the body of Krishna. Am I right? Anyone?
I'm going back to look at what was written. How far
Good
back?
point. I mean, it's a good point, but it may be just madness, right? It could be just madness as well.
What do you mean?
They might be just talking madly, as the other conversations. You know what I mean?
Well,
They're
They s-
talking to plants and creepers are going insane out of separation. I don't know, but it's a possibility. I mean, that is an interesting thought, though. Maybe there's something somewhere about it.
in this passage, they're equating Krishna with Narayan. So I think it's in that sense, it's
okay.
natural that they're pairing.
Right.
They're bringing Lakshmi. Yes.
Okay, good catch. I think it's in the sentence just above the one that's on screen here. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well spotted.
I didn't quite catch that point. Could you mention it again, please?
Are you talking to me?
Well, either you or Nandapatni.
Yeah, go ahead, Krishna Chandra.
Oh, well, Nandapatni Mataji mentioned about Lakshmi being mentioned and why she is mentioned. And then I see that the Gopis mentioned Narayan, equating Narayan with Krishna. So I felt therefore it's pretty straightforward. I mean, that they would mention Lakshmi with Narayan, that would be natural, but
Because she doesn't connect with Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, Lakshmi. She can't go near there. She's kept out on the outskirts because she's too attached to Narayan to give up her husband. It's so interesting, but they're all right. That's amazing. They are going mad, and there's high talks, mad talks. I think Srila Siddhamar said that high talks, mad talks.
Hare Krishna, could I say something?
Jai Jivan Mukta, welcome back. Great to hear from you.
Hello.
Prabhu's, I know I brought it up
Yes,
last
please.
time. I brought it up last time, but this one is actually even more so, is that the pastime, there's a pastime in Vrindavan where the gopis actually meet up with Krishna in the form of Narayan, and they don't recognize him as Krishna. They ask him,
Right.
"Oh, dear Lord Narayan, like have you seen, Krishna? Have you seen, where he's gone?"
Right.
So like they actually, run into, they see Krishna in the form of Narayan, and they don't see him as Krishna at all. So
No.
here in this sentence, we see that they acknowledge that he is Narayan. So, it just seems kind of, it's just a little kind of odd that on the one hand, they acknowledge that Krishna is Narayan, but then when they do encounter Narayan, they don't recognize him.
Right.
They don't recognize Narayan as the same Krishna that they're madly, in love with.
It must be the workings of Yogamaya.
Yeah.
And wasn't he exhibiting his forearms in that case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here is the case where they do acknowledge that Krishna, who's the supreme Narayan himself, must have passed through this way. But when they actually encounter the Supreme Narayan himself, they don't see him as Krishna.
Mhm.
But that's like Mataji said, Sangi Mataji said, it's madness, you know. It's like there's when you lose your sense of reality, which the gopis, of course, are in the highest reality, but they're, you know, living this pastime, that they're in and out of different states of consciousness where they realize certain aspects of Krishna's reality.
Thank you for catching that. Is it your turn, Nandapatni, or is it okay?
Mhm.
Are you on some of the gopis or after that?
Yeah. So some of the gopis then began to address their other gopi friends. Dear friends, why don't you question these creepers who are so jubilantly embracing the big trees as if the trees were their husbands? It appears that the flowers of the creepers must have been touched by the nails of Krishna. Otherwise, how could they feel so jubilant? After searching for Krishna here and there, when the gopis became fatigued, they began to talk like mad women. They could only satisfy themselves by imitating the different pastimes of Krishna. One of them imitated the demon Putana, and one of them imitated Krishna and sucked her breast. One gopi imitated a hand-driven cart, and another gopi lay beneath the cart and then began to throw up her legs, touching the wheels of the cart, as Krishna did to kill the demon Shakatashura. They imitated child Krishna lying down on the ground, and one gopi became the demon Trinavarta and carried the small child Krishna by force into the sky. And one of the gopis began to imitate Krishna while he was attempting to walk, ringing his ankle bells. Two gopis imitated Krishna and Balaram, and many others imitated their cowherd boyfriends. One gopi assumed the form of Bakashura, and another forced her to fall down as the demon Bakashura did when he was killed. Similarly, another gopi defeated Vatsasura. Just as Krishna used to call his cows by different names, so the gopis imitated him, calling the cows by their respective names. One of the gopis began to play on a flute, and another praised her the way Krishna's boyfriends praised him while he played on his flute. One of the gopis took another gopi on her shoulders, just as Krishna used to take his boy friends. Absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, the gopi who was carrying her friends began to boast that she was Krishna herself. All of you, just see my movement. One of the gopis raised her hand with her covering garments and said, "Now don't be afraid of torrents of rain and severe hurricanes, I'll save you." In this way, she imitated the lifting of Govardhan Hill. One gopi forcibly put her feet on the head of another gopi and said, "You rascal, Kaliya, I shall punish you severely. You must leave this place. I have descended on this earth to punish all kinds of miscreants." Another gopi told her friends, "Just see, the flames of the forest fire are coming to devour us. Please close your eyes. I shall immediately save you from this imminent danger."
Shruti Sindhu?
In this way, all the gopis were madly feeling the absence of Krishna. They inquired for him for the trees and plants. In some places, they found the imprints of the marks on the sole of his feet, namely the flag, the lotus flower, the trident, the thunderbolt, and etc. After seeing those footprints, they exclaimed, "Oh, here is the impression of the marks on the soul of Krishna. All the marks, such as the flag, the lotus flower, the trident, and the thunderbolt, are distinctly visible here. They began to follow the footprints, and shortly they saw another set of footprints beside them. And immediately they became very sorry. Dear friends, just see, whose are these other footprints? They are beside the footprints of the son of Maharaj Nanda. It is certainly Krishna passing through, resting his hand on some other gopi, exactly as an elephant goes side by side with his beloved mate. We must therefore understand that this particular gopi served Krishna with greater affectionate love than ourselves. Because of this, although he has left us, he could not leave her company. He has taken her along with him. Dear friends, just imagine how the dust of this place is transcendently glorious. The dust of the lotus feet of Krishna is worshipped even by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and the goddess of fortune Lakshmi. But at the same time, we are very sorry that this particular gopi has gone along with Krishna, for she is sharing the nectar of Krishna kisses and leaving us aside to lament. Oh friends, just see, at this particular spot, we do not see the footprints of that gopi. It appears that because there were some pinpricks from the dried grass, Krishna took Radharani on his shoulder. Oh, she is so dear to him. Krishna must have picked some flowers in this spot to satisfy Radharani, because here, where he stood erect to get the flowers from the high branches of the tree, we find only half the impression of his feet. Dear friends, just see how Krishna must have sat down here with Radharani and tried to set flowers in her hair. You can be certain that both of them sat together here. Krishna is self-sufficient. He has nothing to enjoy from any other source, yet just to satisfy his devotee, he has treated Radharani exactly as a lusty boy treats his girlfriend. Krishna is so kind that he always tolerates the disturbances created by his girlfriends. In this way, all the gopis began to point out the faults of the particular gopi who had been taken alone by Krishna. They began to say that the chief gopi Radharani, who was taken alone by Krishna, must be very proud of her position, thinking herself the greatest of the gopis. Yet, how could Krishna take her away alone, leaving all of us aside, unless she be extraordinarily qualified and beautiful? She must have taken Krishna in the deep forest and told him, "My dear Krishna, I am now very tired. I cannot go any further. Please carry me wherever you like." When Krishna was spoken to in this way, he might have told Radharani, "All right, better get on my shoulder." But immediately, Krishna must have disappeared, and now Radharani must be lamenting for him. "My dear lover, my dearest, you are so fine and so powerful. Where have you gone? I am nothing but your most obedient maidservant. I am very much aggrieved. Please come and be with me again." Krishna, however, is not coming to her. He must be watching her from a distant place and enjoying her sorrow.
Let's see, have a peek here at everybody. Yeah, Jivan Mukta Prabhu.
Is it 2 paragraphs?
Yeah, 2 paragraphs each.
All the gopis then went further and further into the forest, searching out Krishna. But when they learned that actually Radharani was left alone by Krishna, they became very sorry. This is the test of Krishna consciousness. In the beginning, they were a little envious that Krishna had taken Radharani alone, leaving aside all other gopis. But as soon as they knew that Krishna had also left Radharani and that she was alone lamenting for him, they became more sympathetic to her. The gopis found Radharani and heard everything from her about how she misbehaved with Krishna and how she was proud and was insulted for her pride. After hearing all this, they became actually very sympathetic. Then all the gopis, including Radharani, began to proceed further into the forest until they could no longer see the moonlight. When they saw that it was getting gradually darker, they stopped. Their mind and intelligence became absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. They all imitated the activities of Krishna and his speeches. Due to their heart and soul being completely given to Krishna, they began to chant his glories, completely forgetting their family interests. In this way, all the gopis assembled together on the bank of the Yamuna, and expecting that Krishna must return to them, they simply engaged in the chanting of the glories of Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 30th chapter of Krishna. Krishna's hiding from the gopis.
Any comments, reflections from anyone?
I mean, these are the highest. You mentioned psychology.
Yeah.
You know, when we deal with Krishna's pastimes with his devotees, it's the highest form of psychology that we could be exposed to. You know, the most, sublime. This psychology that we're all purifying our minds to reveal. The psychology of the pure spirit soul. It's the psychology of the soul.
I was just talking
I don't know.
Would you
Everything
mind muting if you're?
No, we want to, we were just, anyway. I was trying to tell you before
Oh,
that
Oh,
I turned on the program and then I got a phone call that my granddaughter just had a baby, a new Vaishnava. So,
Oh, congratulations.
wow. Haribol, Haribol.
boy or girl?
boy.
Haribol.
Congratulations.
Okay, so that's why I got a little distracted when, because I went on to
Good
this.
reason, for good reason.
Yeah.
So you're
Are we good?
continuing to expand the Bhakti program.
Yes. Yes, Srila
Are we
Prabhupada said that
gonna?
50% would be having children. 50% of our preaching, making new devotees.
By the way, I want to just mention Narahari Prabhu and Bhavatarini Mataji that last week Gore posted your a link to your songs, and I listened all day.
Oh,
Beautiful song. And you know what? I hadn't listened to them in a long time, and it was really emotional because I mean they brought me right back to where my 35-year-old daughter was just a 2-year-old,
Wow.
yeah.
I sent her all the songs and she remembered them all, and
Nice.
it was absolutely, just so beautiful. And there's some of them that are, for me, it's really stand out, and but
Which
they
one?
were all
Which
great.
one
I
did
mean,
you like? Which one stood out for you?
well, there was one of them I think that just made me really smile because it's got the kind of the Spanish kind of groove to it. Is that the Varaha? That's
Haribo.
Haribo. That's such a fun song,
We had so much fun recording that. We had all the children from the Gurukula, and we had to go to these studios called Hitman that were at midnight and stuff, and Jagadatri and the Bhaktin program, and then the Govinda Dat and the musicians, and even like Mangalananda and Udama Shloka, and they all came and we were all singing, and he was going, "Sing it to me, children, sing it to me, people." It was midnight. And
personality of Godhead, right?
And then we were in a studio in downtown LA at midnight.
Great.
It was just morning for the rockers.
You were rocking for Krishna.
Yeah.
Right.
Say that
I heard something. I heard that Shamarani in Florida now, there's a band called the Butter Thief.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Janardhan Prabhu is leading that, and it's really a good band, and they are very popular. And they go to Zen Fest and all these festivals and rock out the Krishna music.
Cool.
Oh.
Right.
Nice.
And I was going to ask something, Gora. Are we continuing to read? We're going to read some more, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Well, actually,
please.
we're going to continue from the deep purports of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj's, because after we finish Prabhupada's commentary on Nectar of Instruction verse, then we're looking at Srila Sridhar Maharaj's, and it's so, we have to go slowly because there's a lot to ponder.
No, but we're going to read more about Gopis when they come together again, right? He's hiding from them now. Are we going to continue to read this pastime today? Because I have a comment at the end.
Oh, so before we read Nectar of Instruction, you want to read more Krishna book? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was just going to say, you know, in Garuda's book, everybody knows Garuda wrote Ras Leela.
Yeah.
And at the end, when Krishna comes and appears again to the Gopis, it's because they have joined hands in love and camaraderie, and he's attracted to that. So Garuda talks about that Krishna doesn't like when we criticize, when we are against others. He wants us to join hands in worshiping him and not have that mood of standoffishness or separation. I don't know if you read that. I thought that was amazing, and I just wonder if anybody else has. That's a very big instruction.
Yes. So again, where is did you find this?
So I ordered Garuda's book. He's my friend. He has a
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita and the Ras Leela. You know, he did his PhD on the Ras Leela. He was instructed by he was instructed by his supervisor. He wanted to do something about Krishna consciousness. He said, "What's the highest conception in your case?" He said, "Well, I guess it's the Ras Leela." He said, "Okay, then do it on that." But it was so beautiful. It's like just a beautiful poem, beautiful, beautiful poetry, and it's very well received in the academic world. He teaches on it. But I just thought that was poignant, that lesson of being inclusive. Krishna likes that. He doesn't like when we
I didn't get to hear the reading because I was in great grandmother land. But I remember that when I think it was maybe the autumn Rasa Leela, when Krishna left with Radharani and all the Gopis were upset and saying bad things about, oh, this Gopi that's with him, she must be the highest, but they were not feeling very loving towards her. But then when they saw her alone, they saw her alone, then their hearts all melted and then they all came together.
Yeah. There's lessons for us, even though it's very high. There's instruction on our level as well of how we need to behave and our vision and our heart, our own heart, right?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Oh, thank you for the Shastaka.
I just said, even though it's very high, there's instruction for us, even on our level, about our own attitudes, huh? And our heart.
Yeah. Mataji, I agree with the inclusive part, but at a certain point, I mean, there's a limit, inclusive of what? I mean, Prabhupada established certain standards, and those standards by their very presence means that it's not inclusive of everybody. And are we open for, is Krishna consciousness available to everyone? Yes. But inclusive in what sense? Like, are you saying
Jiva Mukta Prabhu, if I understand you, are you saying not everyone necessarily wants to be included, or they want to be included only on their terms?
No, I'm just saying that there's standards still, like, there are standards. For example, inclusive. Well, if someone wants to go on the altar to worship the deities, well, let's be all inclusive and let's just you got to have you got to meet a certain standard of behavior before you're allowed to do certain things, before you're allowed to worship the Lord in certain ways. So inclusive, yes, of course, you could be a complete debauchee and still chant Hare Krishna. And we should encourage everybody to keep chanting, and everyone gets purified and come closer and closer to the highest standard. But like, if that's what we mean by inclusive, of course, yeah. But we also know that it's simultaneously one and different. So at the same time, while we're inclusive in that way, we're very exclusive when it comes to other things. Very exclusive.
I don't know, is that what you were referring? I think she was just saying on the level, they're on a level where you aren't going to have a problem whether they're qualified or not. She was just saying that not to find fault and to come together to love Krishna without, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
But yeah, that's
but we
is
also
that
have
what
to-
you meant, Sangi? Are you there, Sangi?
Yes, she's here.
And we have to realize too that the gopis are
Yes,
not
that's
just
what I meant.
like
Yeah.
Sangi, are you
Yeah.
speaking to us?
Yes, I said yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
What Baba Trini. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. What were you saying, Jiva Mukta?
Paramahansa.
Finish,
Okay.
Jiva Mukta, your point.
No, I'm just also saying that we have to always remember too that the gopis are not just like, we're talking about, souls that are, higher than any perfect yogi, even perfect bhakti yogi. Like, these are, such incredibly advanced souls that it's, we have to just remember these aren't, these are very special personalities. And even though they take the form of females, this is not like a regular female-male relationship. This is very, very different. It's as much as our bodies are different than our souls, likewise, these are very different circumstances. So.
Oh, well, although Sarup Damodar was asked, he's a reservoir of all, the highest knowledge and ras too. And so he one of the things he explains about love between a young boy and young girl when he's explaining this to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, why they act? He says the relationship is crooked. It's between the boy and the girl. Sometimes there'll be anger. Sometimes the anger is justified, and sometimes not justified. So that's why the subtlety. That's why we have to hear from higher source that the exchange looks like, and it's even quoted, by Sarup Damodar. Sarup Damodar that is like a boy and girl, and so that's the subtlety. So when you were saying inclusive, well, how so I call ourselves the ABB Club, Achinta Beta Beta Touch.
Yes.
It's everything's this incredibly astonishingly one and different at the same time.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, that should be a T-shirt.
Yeah, we're ABB, not ADD, but we're ABB.
Yes.
We have the GBC and we have the ABB.
Right.
BBC.
But it's like family. I mean, we can talk about inclusiveness. There is an episode in Mahabharata where Duryodhana is taken prisoner by
Gandharva.
Yeah, although Achutananda Prabhu will say, no, there's a difference between this Gandharva, I forget his name, but nevertheless, he's dragging Duryodhana prisoner. So the Pandavas go, in defense of him. So but when they say, well, why, Bhima was saying, great, I mean, he gets rid of our, evil cousin. This is cousin.
Let him take him.
Let him take him. Say, no, what are you talking about? We're a family. So he said, for the world, we're how many? So we're 6 now. We're 106. No, we're 105. Meaning, the Dhritarashtra's sons and the 5 Pandavas. They're one for the world. So yeah, it's everything has to be. It's fine. It's very subtle. Krishna consciousness is a very subtle thing.
But I was
Jiva Mukta Haribo, I'm glad that you're back.
Yes, I am too. I really missed all of your association. Really, I just was.
It's yours.
I was just like in a desert.
Oh.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Oh,
It was terrible. It was terrible.
We're
Thank
going
you
to
for
reel
coming.
you back in, Prabhu. We're going to reel you back in.
Nanda Patni won't let anyone get away.
Oh, good.
good.
She sent me a beautiful the Shishastakam with her playing piano, and it's so amazing. And I've been chanting japa to it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so have I, actually. It's quite haunting. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I love the tune.
It's just like Prabhupada's version is also very haunting.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tambura in the background.
Yeah.
Separation.
Almost sounds austere.
And from a faraway place,
Yeah, it's coming to us.
like
from
coming to us.
Yeah,
another
far away.
world. Yes.
It is. Mhm.
it is.
It is.
It is. So should we go on to nectar of instruction now?
Yes.
Yes. Please.
There's
So-
so much jam-packed in these paragraphs. It's hard to say how much even progress. I mean, we'll make progress, but in terms of reading, and I humbly ask everyone read it not too fast because there's the content is quite. Oh, Hare Krishna, Nishalila.
On that very point.
And you're next, Nishalila. Perfect timing.
No pressure, Nityalila, no pressure.
You get a chance to show us how slowly you can read.
Oh, but I heard something just briefly. Do you remember? It was in one of the Kartik classes. So I don't remember what scripture it's from. I'm really bad at that. But some people were saying that it wasn't nice the way Radharani's party was criticizing Chandravali's party, that they shouldn't, they should all just get along. And so, so it was explained that it what's the word? It churns the emotions and makes the rasa better. That, they're finding fault. Oh, Chandravali, she doesn't know how to dance with Krishna. But
doesn't bring him as much pleasure as we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is very emotional, and it's pretty involved.
So in that case, they were saying no, they don't. That's part of the Ras is that they don't all get along and they criticize each other.
Exactly.
But we can't imitate.
At the same time,
Yes.
Krishna is so expert brings it also that there will be rasa.
Yes.
There will be rasa.
Yes.
Dance.
If one of them is unhappy, then there can be no rasa dance.
We had to quarrel.
Yes.
Yes, so please continue, Nichalila. Please
That's
begin.
so funny. that
Nectar of
came-
Instruction, a commentary by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. Continue.
Okay. We have to quarrel. Sometimes we may have to engage in litigation. Sometimes there are differences in our realization concerning proper meaning of the particular mantras of the scriptures or a particular point. There may be a difference and discussions. It is not undesirable. Sometimes it is necessary. Generally, we are to think that we are not in a perfect condition or difference will be due to our realization, our degree of realization. Everything varies, but differences amongst the main principle is depolarable and will cause disturbances to the newcomers. It is a great catastrophe for the newcomers. They have come with open faith of a very mild standard. Their faith is not so high, not so intense, that they will be able to tolerate many things which seem to be like discord. The difficulty is with them. Whenever such things are happening, generally the Madhyama Adhikari, Vaishnava should try to keep the beginners outside. They should not be allowed to enter into these discussions and differences, the quarrel, litigation, and all other things. This is only reserved for Madhyama Adhikari. It is undesirable for the beginners to see the differences between the higher personalities whom we consider the upper rank. When they observe such quarreling, the lower class cannot but be disturbed. Try to avoid as much as possible. At that time, they may give their attention towards a scripture. There is less quarreling, but in a scripture there is also quarreling because their recommended advices for different stages. Progress means quarrel. Elimination and acceptance. That means quarrel. One condemns another. Progress means such. We can't avoid it altogether, but still progress is there. We must not be afraid.
Nanda Patni, we discussed this last night with Nrsimha Prabhu. Do you remember anything that stood out for you that came out of that discussion on this paragraph?
Oh gosh, there were so many things, but I mean,
Yes.
I think one of the things that he was talking about was the Kanishta platform, where one can have a lack of understanding and therefore one can make erroneous judgments. Judgment can be there, one's discerning about some things that might appear to be wrong or not according to Shastra. But that was the general principle, is not to fall to a level of aparad, and also to leave the higher understandings to the Madhyama Adhikaris. I guess that would be my synopsis.
Anything else stand out for anybody on what Nitya Lila just read? If not, we can continue.
Well, it's really hard. It'd be nice if there was some examples of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's presented in a very general way, but it would have been nice if there was a couple of examples of differences, and you know, the quarrels and litigation and discussions are the terms that are being used, and it would be it would have been nice to know, like, for example, quarrel over what aspects of Krishna consciousness or Krishna's pastimes or these, you know, rasas is there quarrel between these advanced devotees. Do you know? Does anyone know?
Well,
like,
we were discussing the example of when Srila Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada advised his young disciples not to involve themselves with matters in the Gaudiya Math at that time, because we were so young and we would become confused. And especially if there were differences philosophically or differences of opinions or this and that. So and that was in the very beginning, but hopefully, people have a level of maturity where they have a greater understanding of being able to discern who is a very advanced Vaishnava, and be able to accommodate some of the differences that the Vaishnavas may have in their views or even their commentaries on the same scriptures. So, I mean, it is for quite an advanced level to be able to make those kinds of discernments.
I can give an example, but I have a feeling it's going to take up the rest of the evening.
Okay, don't give the example.
Okay.
No.
I don't have to say much, but Nirahari Prabhu will probably elaborate till the rest of the night. I know him because he's full of knowledge and bliss.
No.
I'll throw it out there anyway. When I heard that Srila Narayan Maharaj said that Kalki is not going to be coming in this Kali Yuga, I thought, what? Prabhupada never said that. So my thought is that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on certain points will say like this, and Narottam Das Thakur will say like that, and they're all right? They're just seeing from different
They're all
perspectives.
our acharyas. So yes, Narayan Maharaj would say you have to learn to reconcile. And it comes with the spiritual advancement. Like Jivan Mukta said, well, we can be, how are you going to be inclusive? How is it, we shouldn't quarrel, but it's part of the progress. We discuss, we're not about blind faith, aren't we? Prabhupada was very upset about that.
But very problematic if you are exceptionally neophyte.
Yes. So, it's the responsibility of those who had, been through years of cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Like Maharaj is saying there, those discussions, it's like when a child sees the parents, there might be an argument, and it's very, what marriage doesn't have a little bit of a quarrel. Even Radha Krishna quarrel. We see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a passage, yesterday I was reading, at one point, they're swimming, it's so festive. At one point, Radha Krishna, there's an argument. So the little gopis they get, a little concerned or scared. So they go to the shore, and all you can see is the little faces. They're like lotuses, they're hiding. So I think it's according to our degree of advancement. So there are things, that's one that I always think of Jiva Mukta, rules and regulations. Today I was reading, there is a fire sacrifice, and Srila Prabhupada is auspiciating it. And in the back of the assembly, there is a mother with a child, and the child is doing what kids usually do. He's putting his whole hand in his mouth. Prabhupada stopped the whole thing. Stop the whole thing, making a point of how important it is to how you maintain auspicious. If you're doing a sacrifice, it's very precise, isn't it? And it's to please Krishna. So then, we open up to, well, there might be quarrels how to do things to please him, which is like the husband and wife quarrel between husband and wife. In a normal situation, there's love. We know there's love there. Or the way the gopis treat Krishna, the things they said about him. He's crooked. He's, the same nectar of devotion. How they call him black snake. And Krishna prefers to hear their insults. So yeah, there are things that if we just drop him like that, neophyte will get confused.
I wanted to add something.
Hare Krishna, welcome back.
Hare
You and I don't know who's been away longer, you or Jivan Mukta.
No, when I came, he was here. So I think I have had personal experience regarding this. And what I feel is Gaura Prabhu is already aware about this, is like when we are kind of in the initial phase of knowing about the movement and knowing about the scriptures and the ideology. I think what mostly the neophytes, they think is that the Vaishnavas are the perfect people. So even if they are doing some small things, like suppose for example, we are reading Bhagavad Gita every day, we are seeing a lot of things that you shouldn't be jealous, you shouldn't be angry. So
No.
what the neophytes start thinking is like, okay, if somebody is preaching me that thing every day, that you shouldn't be jealous, you shouldn't be angry, that means that person has already kind of controlled these emotions in them. It's like how they say, practice before you preach. So as a neophyte, what I experienced or what I saw is, especially in RIT, students started expecting these qualities in the devotees who were coming to preach them. So there was an instance where devotees were fighting amongst them, and they didn't make sure that the students were not there. And it was so much embarrassing for me, being the president of the Bhakti Yoga Club, that I was like so much tense, though, like I don't know if these guys are going to come back again, because they were murmuring amongst them that these people are preaching us to be like polite, and they are preaching us to be kind of like controlling our emotions and respecting each other, but they are arguing and fighting amongst them. So it kind of raises a question on the like preachings, that whatever they are preaching, they are like preaching from 10 years, but still they have not got control over the emotions. So me being in the movement and seeing things from some years, I understand that we are all in our journey, and it's not like we are perfect. It's just that we are advancing every day, and nobody is kind of god here that they will have like kind of control all the emotions. Like it's almost impossible. It's just that we are progressing. And but they just, that's what I feel, that they just think that okay, if somebody becomes a Vaishnava, that means that person will have no lust, no like anger, none of these bad qualities. So I guess I was just trying to think about this, that maybe even if they have these qualities, they should try to kind of like not show these things in front of the neophytes. Or maybe if in that situation they would have asked the students to go and have a personal meeting with people, whatever they wanted to discuss with the Madhyama Adhikari or the Uttama Adhikari, that would have been better. Even with the whole vaccine situation, like how the ISKCON people are fighting amongst them, that actually portrays a very bad image, because like a lot of people have told me that they have not figured it out, and like why they feel that the ISKCON people are very idealistic, so they should know everything. Because if the one whom we are following is not sure, then whom we are following, that raises that kind of question.
Mhm.
Yes, so that's what Maharaj explains in the purport. He said there are things that should be kept away. Sridhar Maharaj, which we just read.
Yeah, he's saying that.
But it's true what I, Sikarini, what you were saying, but we have this ideal, what we think is ideal spiritual life, and so we might see. I saw Prabhupada angry. That was scary, and people say, "Oh, how come?" What? But so we don't understand how these emotions are used and can be used. Everything can be used in the service of Krishna. So many times it's a teaching by the spiritual master. So we have to see where it comes from. But yeah, it's true, as we advance into discrimination, we'll have the same ring.
Please shut off your phones.
I was listening to a class that Prabhupada gave in 1968 in Boston. And then there was a discussion afterwards with some young man who was who said, who was saying how he was God. And Prabhupada was furious. Prabhupada was just like completely unsympathetic to this. Like he did not tolerate that type of he was like ferocious. And I was thinking that is not And you can hear the response from these young students, Harvard students, I think they were, but that they were surprised that here's this Swami, and this Swami is not just like, peaceful Swami, like
Om
he is
Shanti
dead
Om.
serious.
Not politically correct.
Prabhupada was like yelling at them. And completely contrary to what you would expect, a 70-year-old yogi, sadhu, to be talking like.
See, that's the expertise. That's the difference. So it's left for the disciples to explain to others, to clarify those points.
He also said we cannot imitate him either.
No.
Prabhupada used to chew people out and yell at them. I'm going to be like Prabhupada and yell at people too.
Oh, right. No, we had the example, and when we were, I was thinking, people don't understand diksha, initiation, what we call second initiation. We used to call that, and it means it's the beginning, to initiate, which has started. So ideally people expect when they see a devotee shaped, oh, he's already there, that he's beginning to learn, how this is applicable to our lives. So it's not just theory. That's what became very attractive to me, is that how to apply these principles to our lives. And for that we need professor, don't we? It's a science of Krishna consciousness. It's a science, and so we should have been there. Would be the best. And now we can, it could be expanded on, and why Prabhupada acted this way and like that.
See, Karani, the example that came to me, Prabhupada gave: if a man is standing in the shower, you don't criticize him that he's dirty. He may be dirty, but he's making an effort to take the shower.
That's what I have realized. And this is something like just being with the devotees, I have realized, because I have been criticized so many times, and I can't tell you, it's so difficult, especially in our generation. They have made fun of me so many times. Even if I become little angry, they will tell me, oh, Hare Krishna, how can you become angry? I'm like, I don't know what to say, but I know what
in what way do they criticize you? Give an example. What are some of the criticisms?
They are like, oh, you are chanting God's name and you are becoming angry. You are chanting God's name and you are materialistic. All these things they are telling all the time. I'm like, because I'm materialistic, that's why I'm chanting God's name, so that I can become less materialistic.
Right.
But if I just sit and I don't do anything and I just cry over my misery, that means I'm not making any efforts.
Right.
Yes.
Prabhupada used to say the room that is being closed and dirty for so long, everything is settled. When you open, it doesn't seem like, the dust is settled. As soon as we start cleaning, oh my God, allergies. I mean, the whole thing, it looks even worse.
It seems worse, yeah.
It seems worse.
That's true.
But we're doing, like you were saying, we're in the shower. So that's one of the things that has to be explained and like that,
Yeah.
So internet is fantastic. It has brought us together and has brought us knowledge and like that. At the same time, we have to know how to use all these tools, or we can affect a different
I think
reaction.
you have to explain to the people that we're aspiring devotees. We're not the guru or the.
That's what I meant. Initiation is that we beginning, we're starting to, and there's never a point where we stop. We need that anugatya. It's called anugatya. We're taking shelter. We consider it always. Even the high Vaishnavas, they always consider themselves very, very low, and always try to take, and has to, as part of taking shelter of higher Vaishnavas who can. They're very fine points. This is the highest philosophy. I mean, it's got, wow, very, very subtle points. What's more subtle than the soul? Isn't it? I mean, we got mind, intelligence. The soul is so subtle. So there is a lot to learn as we go, because it's experimental. It's being a science. We trying it on ourselves. That's what I like when I was trained, for chemical engineering. 5 planets in Virgo. Everything had to be explained and analyzed and understood. So I like that about Prabhupada. There's no mysteries. And the religion I was raised in, Catholic, it's just the mystery of the Trinity, the mystery of that. Prabhupada said that means that they don't know.
Right.
Or they call
It's a mystery.
they call something a miracle. Yeah, of course.
Prabhupada said when people call something a miracle, it means that they're not understanding how God is working. That's what a miracle is.
They don't know the science.
And regarding the humility of aspiring Vaishnav, Indraduna Swami gives the anecdote where he's at one time said to Prabhupada, you're such a great Vaishnav. And Prabhupada put his head down. He put his head down. He said, I am not a Vaishnav. He said, a Vaishnav is a very exalted personality. He said, I am aspiring to become a Vaishnav. When I heard that, what's our position?
That's great. Yeah. There is the famous singer in England. Her name is Krsna, her spiritual name. And
Chrissy Hines.
Chrissy Hines with the Pretenders. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was not long time ago. But anyhow, she had it somewhere. It says, "Oh, Gurudev, you put me on my place." And so Prabhupada, and like that, if Prabhupada feels like this, wow, what is our position? But that's the true Vaishnava.
We didn't hear you read Narhari, neither Bhavatarini nor Shikarani. Shall we squeeze some more reading in?
Hold on to your ears.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So the Bhavatarini or Narhari, would you like to do the impulse of the tongue?
That's good for me.
That's probably a good one for me, actually.
The impulse of the tongue. Jiva Vegam. This means the urge for that which is very tasteful. I am a servant to that, a slave to tastefulness. Jiva Vegam means our attraction to a particular taste. One may have attraction for pungent, bitter, sweet, or sour. This is Jiva Vegam. The tongue always wants to taste that sort of thing. Whatever is tasteful may be detrimental to my health, yet I cannot control my tongue. Out of greed, I may take something that may not be the proper diet for me. I take something and then I take more, but it is not necessary for my health. I should try not to fall prey to my tongue and become its slave. How to avoid Jiva Vegam? The process is that whatever I am taking, I should think, how has the sadhu, the guru, or God tasted it? The material thing should be subservient, and our attention should be directed toward the subjective feeling of the higher personalities. How have they tasted it? That is the key to escape from material taste. Mahaprabhu tried to avoid sweet things. I am a sannyasi, so I must keep a standard. If I take sweet things, then everyone will do like that. It is not proper. Then Swarup Damodar said, that is the negative side, but you will take prasad. That is the positive side. Jagannath Kachi Karachena Bojana. You must have direct experience of how Jagannath tasted it. From the objective world, to take it to the subjective, all feelings should be collected and applied towards the higher plane, and it must be drawn from the lower plane. Yes.
Should I keep read?
Yeah.
Okay,
Narhari Prabhu, yeah.
The impulses of the belly and genitals. Jiva Vega means the urge for that which is palatable to the tongue, and Udara Vega means the urge to fill one's belly. We think, no, I have not eaten. So I have not taken much food. The belly seems to be very vacant to me. I shall take more. Unquote. That is udara vegam, more and more than it will swell. We should only take that amount of food that is necessary to keep up the health. Upasta vegam is the urge to get a pleasing sensation from the ladies and the desire for the company of women, for the men. The women are for the women, are for the men, are for the women, the men. We should try to check that tendency within us. That is mental. It is not even in the soul. That is only the mind, and that is the worst cause of our wandering in this world. Even from the tree to the demigods, this sort of tendency is flowing, and we must be very cautious not to fall prey to such a flow. It is universal and very powerful flow, and we must try our best to keep aloof from the flow of that plane as much as possible. Tomara kanaka bogira janaka, kanakera dhare siddha madhava, kaminina kama nahe, tava dhama tahara malika kirda yadava. Sorry, I forgot my glasses upstairs. Your wealth is simply used for mundane pleasure, but you should use it in the service of Madhava. The desire for women is not your business because Krishna is their only true master. Vaishnava K 3.
That's Bhakti Siddhanta's song. What kind of, my dear mind, what kind of Vaishnava are you?
K.
Oh.
K. All right.
Yeah.
So I read that little short paragraph, or that's sort of it. The enjoying aspect of women is not for you. It is only reserved for Krishna. Tahara Malika Kevala Yadava. Krishna is the only enjoyer of the beauty of anything to be enjoyed from the women's section. It is mentioned there literally in this verse.
Shikarani, you didn't read.
So I was just thinking, if I can do like a little thing, people talk about, now the control of the tongue, but how to learn what is most. It's actually we always have to have that anugatya, because look how Prabhupada used to do. I mean, there was in Los Angeles Temple there was a big, clean, new trash can full of halava, and Prabhupada was there for brahmacharis when they came back. We were all out going every day, and so the hunger was pretty much there. And many times Prabhupada said, "Eat and up to your neck."
So you waddle like a duck.
Yeah, but we didn't know, and he's the doctor. So I like that in Chaitanya Charitamrita said until the living entity, the jiva, finds the doctor, the Vaishnava doctor, and that's how the spiritual master is. So he knows dosage, what to take, what not to take, and how much to take. Mm. And then as we progress, Prashadam is, that's very good way to maybe even begin and also to end. But like Goswami is with a little cup of buttermilk every 2-3 days or something like that.
But to be served, they describe the prasad our attitude should be to serve.
To serve prasad, yeah. Yes, one time Rai Maharaj too, you'll say, the devotees will say, "Oh, did you eat, Maharaj?" or something. So I never eat, I never ate. I never won. I'm sorry? I never ate in my life. I served. Mm. It's like, I have to chant. I have certain, and he would say, "No, we serve Nam." But yeah, I think that it all, again, we go back to the importance of Sri Guru. He'll know exactly what we need. But then we set the ideals, we read now what essential to know.
Sikarani, please finish the evening with a couple of paragraphs.
You have to scroll up.
It's already done.
Last paragraph is not done.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So this one.
This
Yeah.
was all I thought you read all of this.
No.
Oh,
One
no.
gentleman. One gentleman.
Right.
One
Uh-huh.
gentleman came to our
Okay,
Guru
thank you.
Maharaj in Calcutta and said, "What do you mean by this? Then who are we? Have you written this in the literal sense that all the women are meant only for the enjoyment of Krishna, only and none else?" Prabhupada answered, "Yes, yes. That is the true naked meaning of this. Such a type of enjoyment is meant only for Krishna, and all others are trespassers." Kanaka, money. The master of money is Narayana, Lakshmipati, and we are all his servants, more or less in different ways. And Baldeva, the Guru, is the master of name and fame. Kanaka Kamini Pratishtha. Kamini is to be adjusted for the Krishna conception. Otherwise, we are lost. It must be adjusted with him. Any lady consciousness must have connection with Krishna. Intelligent adjustment. We are told that this Jiva Vegam, Udara Vegam, and Upastha Vegam are in a line. They all help each other. We must be very careful to be rid of them. They cause so much disaster in one's life and have spoiled so many lives. We should be careful in our dealings with them. We must be very cautious about all these animal tendencies within us. Rather, we are slaves to them. These different types of mentalities are masters, and I am their slave. We must be independent of all those masters. Kamadanam kati na
Samadhinam.
kamadinam kati na katida palita durni deshas tesham jata mai na karuna na tripa no no pashanti uttarsyat uttarsyatan atha yadupate sampratam labda buddhis tvam ayata Sharanam Abhyayam Mam Niyunkush Vatma Dashye. For so long I have obeyed the wicked dictates of lust, anger, greed, madness, delusion, and hatred. Yet they never took pity on me, and I have felt neither shame nor the desire to give them up. O Lord of the Yadu dynasty, not that now that my intelligence has been awakened, I am leaving them behind. I surrender myself unto you who grant fearlessness. Please now engage me in your service. CC Madhya 22.16. These desires are my lord's, and they are using me as their slave. And such a helpless life I am leading here. In the name of human being, I have got so many shameful tendencies within me that even an animal can't come to such a low standard. This is our self analysis. Our real nature will be like this, a shameful nature within. Our real enemies are within, not without. And within the Lord is there in the heart, and the kingdom of the Lord is much higher. We have that consolation, hope, and prospect. We must give a bond and try to keep that promise. Then help will come from that higher plane, and it will drive away all these superficial enemies that are dancing like demons on the surface of our mind. They must be driven away, and help will come from within if we seek it and if we cooperate.
Jivan Mukta Prabhu, do you have any comments on what we read? Where did you go?
Jivan Bhukta Prabhu is mute.
Oh,
Oh,
No, I'm sorry about that. I was just saying that that image of dancing demons on the surface of our mind is very powerful.
yes.
yeah.
There is an English song also now, Dancing Demons. There is
Sorry,
a song.
what's that?
There is a song, Dancing Demons.
Oh, is there?
Far out.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a very, very powerful section, Mataji, that you read there. That, and you know what? And you could see the parampara, how a pure devotee speaks what Krishna is speaking. Like Sridhar Maharaj is speaking precisely what Prabhupada would say. Like this is exactly what
Yes.
Prabhupada would say.
Yes.
And I mean, you know, the style is obviously a different style, but the message is identical.
Yes, that's what it is.
Identical, and it's just beautiful.
Very
Thank you.
soothing.
Yes.
Very
Nandapatni?
powerful, and I think it's important for us to realize that this again, while we're prepared to accept and open our arms to everybody, we're declaring war on what is accepted as normal and celebrated as the epitome of love in this world. Like, listen to these acharyas speak about male and female relationships. I mean, it is so powerful. Bhakti Siddhanta was approached by this gentleman in Calcutta, and he was saying, no, you can't be literal about what you're saying about, women being meant for Krishna's exclusive pleasure. Bhakti Siddhanta said, yes, that's exactly what I mean. This is not just like, an expression. This is literal. So it doesn't matter which age, it doesn't matter whether it was the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st century. As bhakti yogis, the objective is to free ourselves of these shackles. And you could hear it from Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, Prabhupada. So yes, we accept for our, we bring people in who, like, most of us are still very attached, but we do not compromise on where we're supposed to be going.
Yeah, there's
Like,
that.
we know where we're supposed to be going. We know the state of consciousness that we must achieve. It is something that is, so gargantuan in a sense, an effort, but we can only do it through Krishna's grace. We can't do it ourselves. It can't be accomplished by our own effort. It has to be accomplished.
Sridhar Maharaj would say Sri Guru and His grace.
Yes.
He has a little book, a very, very important book. Actually, it's an interview or darshan with some of our God brothers, Prabhupada's disciples that came to see him after the departure of our beloved Gurudev. So very, very, very important book.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, as we advance, we learn that the whole process is to give Krishna pleasure. We've been trained for that. The ultimate thing is that who gives the highest pleasure to Krishna, who has sacrificed everything for them, the Brajavadus. But we can't jump in, oh yeah, I'm there now. And so a misunderstood thing about Raganuga Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti. They both have regulations. It's just in one now, spontaneously, it's like Prabhupada said, one morning you get up and then you just can hardly wait to run to see the deity, to Mangal Arti. For years, we probably do that as a routine, and we know it's good for us. And some people, and some were afraid that, and we know practically if we leave this path, it will be very hellish. So there is some fear there, and then we'll continue to do it. But the point is that we never stop going to Arti, we never start doing the regulation, but now the motivation is a little different. And what is it? It's just that spontaneously, that feeling has been awakened to now further please the Lord only. We cannot just, and then the six enemies we were talking about, that there is a song, the Vaishnava songs. I've learned to appreciate them more and more because our acharyas are put in nutshells this very dense, practical philosophy what to do, and they put themselves in the position of a regular soul, one that is bound here in this material world. I love the purport of the song Goranga Bolite Have, and that, that's just, it summarizes everything, Prabhupada, in that one, and about these 6 enemies. How will they leave us alone? It's all by grace. We had to put ourselves, like, crying for that, to be able to participate in service. It's not that our goal is, oh, I had to conquer this. No, we had to learn about them. We had to see them, that there are enemies, but ourselves, there's no, okay, I'll follow this, I'll chant certain amount of rounds, I'll get up. Yeah, they put us in the mode of goodness to be able to guide, and it'll be a lot more easier from the platform of goodness. So to sprint up to Shuddha Bhakti, Shuddhanam, the supreme pure name, that gives one of those names immediately liberation. The second one is Prem. So but how to get there is by grace. So Prabhupada in that song explains, one who has, achieved the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, he has pleased him by chanting the name of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada explains how it's pleasing the spiritual master, and then the 6 Goswamis, and then the Goswamis Nityananda Prabhu and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we can enter even higher realms in Radha Krishna. But the symptom will be that those 6 enemies will leave us. Then when that happens, is, oh, he's been graced, or she's been graced by Nityananda Prabhu. Now we have overcome this. The other way around will be like manually trying to get rid of karma. Some people, we see courses on that, and yogis that do, how to, and astrologers that will give you this and that, from how to get rid of your karma. And prarabdha karma is that comes, that's we were born with. The only one that can break that is Sri Guru. It's by their grace. If they're pleased with us, then everything's fine.
Wasn't that the 2 finger length of rope that Mother Yashoda kept trying to bind Krishna, and these 2 finger lengths represent endeavor and grace.
Yes, and kripa, or like that. But it always, like you said, is endeavor. There has to be an action on our part to show sincerity. I like what Prabhupada said in the Gita. It said the 4 principles of freedom. And Jivam, you were saying how slave we are, like, and they're very distasteful for most people. Prabhupada quotes this English Lord that said, "What? No meat eating? No, these principles are impossible to follow. What are you talking about? No more drinking, no women, no meat. What? Nobody can do that.
Wine, women, and song. Yeah.
Yeah, wine, women, and song. That's the culture. This is like that karma kshetra, and then actually India, the Vedic culture is dharma kshetra.
So we're on the note of the Vedic culture and women. There was a beautiful thing I heard today from Sri Dandi Maharaj, where he was saying the wisdom and beauty of the original Vedic culture in marrying the girls so young, was that there was never a chance of corruption, that there would be this protection for them. And then he cited the example of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was married to his wife, and he was 9 years old, and I think she was 7 years old. I mean, they didn't live together then, but that principle of protection, which of course is a big thing that Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, that all will be ruined upon the degradation of women.
Yes, unwanted population and like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, I thought it was just such a beautiful point about how the original Vedic culture was so beautiful in its protection of women.
I like it too that there's always a clause, because then Krishna is say, oh, you're speaking all this like you're such a wise man, and it's just you've been this foolish. Why? And then now is Krishna is asking to fight. I mean, kill his family members. This is, I mean, wow. He's Krishna, he's a devotee. They can say, well, why is he acting like this? But what is the principle there? Krishna is above all these regulations. Is that whatever I like, if you're a devotee, you'll be. Yeah.
So we can see how
sorry.
Lord Krishna accomplishes so much. Like there's so many levels of how when he does something, he accomplishes so many things simultaneously. So like with Arjuna, that's what the Bhagavad Gita is so profound, because there's so many instructions, and one of them, and they're all on different levels of where we may be as far as our understanding spiritual life and Krishna consciousness. And how does he start with? He starts, although it ends with just surrender everything and just surrender all dharma and just, or give up all dharma and surrender unto me. It begins, of course, and ends with Krishna convincing Arjuna not to give up his material dharma. You're a kshatriya. Do not think that you're going to be like a goody two-shoes little Brahmin and go into the forest and avoid fighting. No. You're a kshatriya, and it's your duty to fight. And if you don't fight, you're going to be humiliated. You're going to leave a legacy of shame to yourself and your family. So this is one aspect of the instruction. And ultimately, Lord Krishna says, give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me.
Interesting.
But that aspect is still there. In other words, Lord Krishna does not want Arjuna to be Mr. Peaceful Sadhu and go into the forest. No, you were born a kshatriya. You're engaged as a kshatriya. You were trained as a kshatriya. You must fulfill your responsibility as a kshatriya.
So, but why is it that Krishna gives the Gita to him, a married man? He had many wives too, and a warrior. Were in the presence of, at that time, every single sage that you can imagine was on planet Earth. Yes. When Krishna comes, he brings everybody, including jivas that he uses in different ways. So and so we say, why is it Arjuna receives the Gita? He's a friend and a devotee. Because you're my friend, you can see God as a friend. He sees him like that. The other thing I thought I was very important and interesting, that we all think, well, the end of the book that's how it's the conclusion. And so we think, well, Sarvadharma Parityaja Mamikam Saranam Vraja, most important verse. But Sri Narayana Maharaj says, no, the most important verse is Mama Nama Madhavata, become my devotee,
Yes.
My friend, play namaskar. So the first 6 chapters are about karma yoga. In the middle is for Vaishnavas, is devotees, and then at the end is Gyan. They're all important, but if this I learned from this coming from our acharyas. That's the Gita is in 3 sections actually. So it's like a sandwich. We like the middle part the most, isn't it? It's not that the other ones are not good. I mean, you need the bread, but
The filling is.
it's where it's at, you know.
Oh gosh.
By the way, Gaur Prabhu, we lost him because he, I
Oh,
guess he lost power in his apartment.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Oh,
okay.
There is
Kicked
rain
off.
and all. He doesn't have Wi-Fi.
He's been
well,
kicked off.
we'll probably all go on till midnight now.
No.
Anyway, I have to leave, Bruce, but
Yes.
Okay.
it's wonderful to see everybody. Full house
Yes,
tonight.
Sure. Yes.
yes. Thank you all for
Square Street.
your
Hey,
association.
Kalila. And is
Yes,
Shuddha
ma'am.
Sindhu still there? Maybe not.
Yes, he
Yes,
is
I'm
there.
still here
Ah,
listening. I'm
okay.
still here.
Fantastic.
But
Okay.
I actually I like very much to listen to pastime, Krishna Lila, is it?
Yeah.
I like very much, yeah. But maybe I don't understand much, but I mean,
You know,
maybe
I'll
slowly
tell you,
try.
I just read one thing I'll just mention, which was just absolutely just beautiful. And it was in the the Bhagavatamrita. And when Gopakumar enters the Sudharma hall in Dwarka, he's wearing his, outfit as a cowherd boy, and he's got his flute, and Krishna welcomes him, and Krishna's like, stroking him and like on his body and cleaning him, and kind of like just showing affection in that way. And then Krishna takes Gopakumar's flute, and he actually practically breaks down in front of this august assembly of all these kings and Yadavas and leaders, and Uddhava has to like calm Krishna down and tell him, look, you've got Ugrasena in front of you, you've got all these great, these senior men, like, don't break down in front of the assembly. So Krishna had to ultimately leave the assembly hall. They had to call the meeting, and he had to go into his private room because he was so powerfully affected emotionally when he saw the flute, and he was reminded of Vrindavan and all of his devotees in Vrindavan, that he was completely incapable of holding back that emotion. And that's the thing that when I just want to say, a plug, I guess, for that book is that, like, when you see how Lord Krishna, like, it's not like he's fully in control of his emotions with his devotees. Like, he really loses control of his ability to, to maintain, he loses his composure with his most intimate devotees. Like, he's just, that relationship he has with these devotees is just amazing. And it just shows his infinite grace and mercy, that he's actually his love, because the love ultimately comes from Krishna. It all comes from Krishna.
That's the only thing that can control Krishna is love, pure love. Ultimately, actually, that's the control. That's what the roles are reversed.
Mhm.
And Krishna ends up serving Arjuna.
Yeah.
It's a simple charity.
There's the pastimes of when Gopakumar comes to, back to Goloka, and Krishna runs to him and practically lunges and hugs him and loses consciousness. And he's just, tears are flowing from Lord Krishna's eyes, because it's like, finally, do you know how long I've been waiting for you? Like, this is our Lord and Master. This is our Lord Krishna. This is just a wonderful,
He's
wonderful.
searching for us. I read, I can't precisely, but I could find it. The acharyas, they talk about that. How Krishna knows each and every one of us, and he's searching for us.
Yes. And I think that's incomprehensible. That's, for us, it's incomprehensible, because we think, I have 7 kids. Sometimes I can't even think of all my kids at once, Uh,
No comment.
Yeah.
so what to speak of Krishna? How many living entities are like we can't even imagine. There's more living entities than there is sand on this planet, and how many planets. So like to think that Krishna could have that much love for
It's, what's the verse of Prabhupada? Eko bahunam chitanas chitananam. That there is one echo, there's one entity among all the other myriads of entities that maintains and supports all the rest of them.
And Prabhu, I think that's an important point. I think it's important for us because the reality, Prabhu, it's expressed, of course, in our books, Prabhupada's books all over the place, that there is no separateness. It is one. Everything is one. And the whole, Krishna is the whole. We're the parts and parcels, but we are connected with Krishna. We're not separated from Krishna. So Krishna is, in one sense, Krishna is everything. So he knows everything. He's in everything. He's comprised of everything. So he can't be separated. Whereas I'm separated from my kids. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know where they are or whatever. But Krishna is with us all the time.
Yeah, Paramatma
There's
conception.
no separateness.
Now there's a realm, but I'm sorry, Nanda said something.
No, I was just saying Chaita Guru, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's the Paramatma, the conception. So it's,
And I have a question. Sometimes when we read about, like last Tuesday morning here, sometimes when we read about this Krishna pastime, so I feel that sometimes tears will come out from my eyes, and I don't know why. Could somebody explain why?
Oh, because, like he said, it's a very personal. God is not just a conception, but it's a reality. Like Sridhar Maharaj says, a reality, the beautiful. So yeah, that's that. Prabhupada speaks about that in Krishna book. These emotions, this pastime says where it's at. Actually, that's the way to advance. It's Harikatha. That's what Parikshit Maharaj is. I don't care to send that snake or whatever this Brahman will come out with to bite me, but please never cease to speak your pastimes. Go on forever. So Ananta, the thousand-hooded serpent that protects Lord Narayan, this actually Baladev, his expansion. From its mouths, they never stop because the pastimes of the Lord are infinite. So that is the path. That is the way, really. It's wonderful that you're experiencing this, that you're attracted to it. That attraction is the ticket. You want to hear more and more about the pastimes of Sri Krishna. And they will exalt, they will bring out your emotions. And those are wonderful. That's very good to have.
I believe it's at the end of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or at the end of one of these chapters in the books, and where it's explained that, I think it was Krishnadas Kaviraj, that he offers obeisances to the devotees who are attracted to these pastimes, because he says these devotees, like you're guaranteed just by being attracted, by just having attraction to these pastimes, it's guaranteed that you're going to achieve the highest perfection.
Yes.
That attraction is the
ending of the chapters in the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada ends with that point.
Yes.
On most of the chapters, just by hearing this.
Yes.
And we can, in all, like, look at how many people
sometimes
are.
I feel.
Go ahead, Mataji. I was just going to say that, look at how many people have been exposed to Krishna consciousness, but not so many in comparison have really, become attracted to wanting to hear more and more about Krishna. There's so many people in this world, and some of them, most of them just, yeah, Krishna this, but how many really become attracted to Lord Krishna and his pastimes and his, his interaction with his devotees, and how many really like you, Mataji, how many of you like stirs emotion in your heart when you hear about these pastimes?
So like
Very-
I never get bored, although I read many times. Yeah, but sometimes I feel that after reading it, either with you all or some other classes or by myself, I feel that certain description or the phrases is like they come into life in me. So I don't know whether it's my illusion or is something that can be explained or what is it comes into life. The description, the phrases. Do you understand?
That's sadhana bhakti at work. That's our Cheto Darpanam Marjanam.
That's what, I wash your feet and drink the water. Look,
Yeah.
Kaviraj Goswami says, if you are already experiencing by hearing this, like hearing the past tense of Lord Krishna, then you're worshipable.
No, I'm not worshipper. It's just that when I started reading Canto 10, maybe some I don't understand much, but Canto 10 I think is the fruit of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think Canto 10, and then there are 4 books I'm still reading, and then some more plus with Paradas with this reading in Krishna pastime. I don't know how to explain. There's a feeling in me. I don't know how to explain. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's all. That's what I could say. Is just it's wonderful. It's
the proper use of emotions.
Yes, exactly.
Oleum.
And yes, yeah. So now something has awakened in you that is described as worshipable, because this lolium, like Nanda was saying, this greed has awakened in you.
Learning.
Yeah. So
It's kind of learning of the soul.
Yes, to that yearning, but that also the yearning to hear more about the pastimes. That's makes you a very fortunate soul. Like Jivan Mukta was saying, there is not everybody that here is are able to get
the taste.
eager or get the taste. So you're doing something great. You're doing something is right, because
something good
something.
I hope it's not an illusion. I hope it's not something like illusion or Maya or.
But even if we, because there's such a thing as a reflection of the holy name. So even if it's a reflection, it's still beautiful, because a reflection of a beautiful thing.
Right. Or like you were saying, Jivan, one time you said, well, I had to use my imagination. And then it's funny, I read right after you said, I read something, it was an acharya saying, that imagination is good, because it's towards the Supreme Lord.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the spiritual master gives us a mantra, a secret mantra. And in that one, there's a lot of, it's all about personal imagery and like that. You have to see the Lord. He will tell you, okay, now you meditate like this. And so all we have is really our mind, our bodies, our that part, that imagination. And when we use it for material means, it's very a terrible thing. It will take us, away from reality. But when it's used for Krishna, so these emotions are not, you might think, oh, maybe it's something wrong, but no, you feel in them because you are hearing about Krishna, so they're okay. It's very fine, actually.
I mean, even there's the example of I was reading the other night as well, that in Goloka or in Gokul, the Aborigine women that were considered very low class, were attracted to Krishna out of lust. It was like more out of a lust for Krishna. But that attraction for Krishna ultimately completely purified them. It was it didn't matter that they were attracted. Their attraction resembled more of a material, selfish kind of thing. It didn't matter because the attraction was for Krishna. And so that was purifying, and they became pure devotees. So whether our emotions are, fully pure, whether they're reflections, or it has to do with Krishna, and it's a positive thing, and we still follow the rules and regulations. We can't start thinking that we're beyond, above them and beyond them, and we still follow strictly. We still follow the principles. We still try to cultivate a humility, tolerance, and it'll just keep getting better.
Prabhu, the part that you mentioned, like Aboriginal women have lust completely over Krishna. This part I don't understand. I don't get it much. The lust that you said, what I don't understand. What type of lust? Is it a sex desire lust or whatever lust, or bodily, as to enjoy the bodily lust?
Yeah, because Krishna is so beautiful. Krishna is so beautiful and attractive that they wanted to enjoy him sexually, just like a regular boy and girl may be attracted to each other. Like there wasn't that pure, intent. The intent wasn't, but in a sense, the intent was, because it was directed towards Krishna. It's, what in the Bhagavatam it says, whatever desire you have, whether you have no desire, whether you have all types of material desire, whether you desire liberation, it doesn't matter. Whatever your liberation, whatever your desire is, if you're directing it towards Krishna, then that's perfect.
Yeah. And another thing, if we have that lust over Krishna, like condition, so is it in a material platform or is it in the spiritual platform?
There is no distinction for Krishna.
Yeah,
but there is no distinction for Krishna, material or spiritual. It's in our mind, and there is no qualification or non-qualification, because ultimately it's all, So even the gopis are attracted by what we call lust, because there's no one as beautiful. Nam, Rupa, Lila, Nam, the name, Rupa, the form. Krishna means they're all attracted, isn't it? That's one of the meanings. Krishna is all attracted. So it's attractive to the elderly gopis. They want to nurse him. They want to take care of him, like Mother Jashoda does. So that's one relationship. But in this plane, but anything in connection with Krishna gets purified and is complete and perfect. Yeah. And so all these tendencies that we have, they're in a perfect completion or imperfection when, like Jivamukta would say, it's related to Krishna.
There's a story of Kubja in the Krishna book.
Yeah.
Kubja.
So you can't, right. And you can't, said, okay, so this purest person is the one that's going to receive the mercy, and the other one no. So there is a story of the prostitute and the Brahmin that live in the same town.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always thinking how fallen she is, that she has to act in this world. Mm-hmm. And so she's always lamenting this way. And but the Brahmin is always looking, oh, who's that going to her? Who's coming? Who's leaving? Look, oh my God, she's, And so he is supposed to be in the mode of goodness platform, meditating, being Brahman means meditating on God. He's meditating on her activities.
Village gossip.
Yes, gossip.
Okay.
And you know, for the surface of the thing is, I said, oh, Moy, she's so fallen, something like that. We are fallen.
Yeah, and I don't understand.
She's the one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And the story of Kunjab, is it? And I don't understand much. She said, the prophet said that she wants to enjoy with Krishna, and Krishna go to her to satisfy her desire. So one thing I don't understand, the last that she wants, is it Krishna let her to enjoy the body, or Krishna make her to realize of this faulty enjoyment, that this type of enjoyment is not the first class, first most devotee, or something like that. I don't understand much the Kunjab story, the hunchback lady.
Well, Krishna fulfilled her desire, but
Yeah,
Krishna
fulfill her desire in
Krishna is a supreme soul. Like, so Krishna is not just like an ordinary man. So her attraction to Krishna was her attraction to ultimately to the supreme soul, the absolute truth. So
no, she sees him as the most handsome person that she ever seen in her life.
Yeah.
And she wants to enjoy him. And so the difference there, you know, is that, yeah, it's great because she's directing it to it's God. So he does fulfill all desires. So her love is considered not as high as the Gopis, where they're thinking that Krishna is happy enjoying us. So then enjoying our bodies. So that is selfless. In her case, in Kubja, there's a little bit of selfishness, but it's purified. It's great because she feels it towards God. So then she attains, you know, a higher position than before. She recognized, you know, that and somehow or other that he is the one that should be worshipped. And remember, she's carrying all these items of worship, and when she sees him, he gives it to him.
Just imagine her qualification to have Krishna.
Yes.
To have Krishna.
That means because the ending of the because I don't understand the ending of the book. It says in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says Krishna fulfill her desire. So fulfilling her desire means he let Kunjab to enjoy the body, or something else. The last desire, is it that Krishna let Kunjab to enjoy his body, just like the last, you know, man and woman's making love? Is that happen at that point? Because there's no ending.
Yeah, but we had to also, this is a hard one for most people, is that that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, the only one. And so he can be a devotee, you know, he is a devotee, you would say, you know, he has many women. And so her desire might be, is selfish, and to, you know, but she's directing it to God. So he does fulfill all our desires, doesn't it? He does. I mean, people, we have so many different desires, material, and there's stories where people, if they're not really at a pure devotional level, then they will they'll say, okay, well, thank you. They see God as a wish-fulfilling tree or something, you know, like, you give me this and like that, you know, oh, Father in heaven, I'll be good, and you give me this, you give me that. And so in that way, Kubja's love is not the purest, but her attraction is to his form. And so there is nothing wrong, you know, but because she wants to enjoy him, and rather than no, let him enjoy me. That's what that's higher. But nevertheless, who is she? Like Giamuto said, you know, it's pretty high that she got to associate with the Lord. And
but we also have to realize too that, you know, angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti, like every limb of Krishna, every sense can accomplish what every other sense could do. So, you know, Krishna could have simply caressed her, touched her, you know, looked at her and fulfilled her desire. You know, it's not like we're looking at that Krishna has to fulfill desire like an ordinary man would fulfill the desire of an ordinary woman. No, like Krishna's senses are interchangeable. So Krishna can accomplish anything with any part of his body, with, you know, with his glance. Like we know that Krishna eats with his eyes, with his ears. He doesn't have to eat with his mouth. So likewise, Krishna could satisfy, you know, her lusty desire with a song, with a glance, with a touch, you know, like, do you know what I mean? So like I can't say that I know that Krishna, you know, fulfilled her desire the way she maybe anticipated a regular man fulfilling the desire. Possibly, I can't say for certain. But what I know is that Krishna is the original wish fulfilling tree, in a sense. Like he could fulfill everyone's desire anyway, anyhow, you know.
Hey, wasn't it
Yeah.
wasn't it
I
that
got better
she was
understanding.
totally satisfied by
Yeah.
putting the kumkum on her body? She was totally satisfied just by putting the kumkum from the
Yeah.
ground on her body, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty far out.
Is it? Okay.
So, but Krishna did go into her room. It's described that when he went into her, you know, place of residence,
Yes.
there was erotic pictures all over the place, and you know,
Wow.
so that was her intention was that eroticism, that she was
But
attracted to Krishna.
she was a society girl. Was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So she wanted to enjoy. She was attracted to Krishna erotically like that, and Krishna fulfilled her desire.
Phew.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand better.
Now, you know, to complete, yeah.
Imagine a bit. I need to imagine a bit sometimes. Yeah.
You just keep going because actually it's through bhajan. Bhajan means all the worship, hearing, chanting, hearing, all the 9 processes called, what the processes that we do to worship Krishna is called bhajan.
Yeah.
The chanting, hearing, that's our bhajan. So by continue to do so rather than independently try to understand something, we have a certain capacity of understanding, you know, so we can totally absolutely understand everything about the absolute, but he will reveal himself through our bhajan by following. You know, there are rules in it and like that, but in our bhajan, you know, we have to be methodical and regulated, and but the major one is what you say. I love to hear past tense, so that is the cathartic principle there. But we'll enact our change, enact our growing is by hearing this Harikatha, which is sweeter when it's digested by a pure devotee. That Shuka de Goswami, Shuka, the parrot, he says that the mango is sweeter when it's been tasted, it's bitten a little bit by a parrot. It does something to enhance the sweetness.
The thing that I have to remind myself whenever I'm reading Krishna's pastimes is that you know, as conditioned souls, we are trying to understand the, you know, Krishna's pastimes through our, you know, through our experience in the mundane world, and what we you know, what our understanding of love and relationships in this world is just a very, very perverted reflection of the actual truth. Krishna's pastimes are the actual truth, which is way beyond our ability to understand, because the only way we could even attempt to understand them is through our relative experience through this mundane realm, in this mundane realm. So like we're trying to understand, for example, if you never saw gold, but you saw like a clump of like even like unrefined iron ore, and someone is trying to explain to you gold, you can't ever really understand gold. You can get some very vague idea, right? So you get a vague idea. So with us, it's like that. With, you know, when we talk about Krishna and the love between him and his devotees, and we can get a glimpse, a very minuscule kind of perspective based on our experience in this material world. But really it's without, like Narahari Prabhu said, you know, without Guru and Krishna's grace, it's only a glimpse that we get. It's only a glimpse.
Then do you think, because from my understanding, it's very hard to attain Krishna, so we serve through the devotees, through the Guru. So do you think sometimes Krishna will reveal to you if through the Guru, through the spiritual master?
Of course, that's how it's, of course, that's the process.
Yeah, that's the process. Yeah.
But sometimes, do you think certain revelation, it takes like, how to say, sometimes the reveal come to you like you develop the love. It's supposed to be for Krishna, but it goes to the spiritual master, and then how to say,
Yasya prasadam bhagavad prasadam, yasya prasadam nagati kutopi. You know, Guru Ashtakam.
Because I feel that when I read the pastime,
yeah, that the mercy by the mercy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So that means sometimes it is revealed through the spiritual master. Is it correct?
It's always revealed through him. It's his mercy. We always have to beg the spiritual master. That's why I was quoting that verse, the last verse in Guru Ashtakam. Yasya prasadam bhagavad prasadam. Is by the mercy of Bhagavan, we receive the spiritual master. And by the spiritual master, then we understand God. We receive the mercy of God. There's no other way. But trying to do direct by ourselves to associate with Krishna, that's very, 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 very rare and difficult. But we get it more complete. It's like, you know, yeah, you can get to meet the president and it's always going to be Mr. President. But if you are now part of the family of the president and you're going to be introduced to, it'll be a little different. You know, like the address,
so sometimes I feel, yeah. So sometimes I feel that like what I understand is like Krishna is the object of love for all living entities, right? So we like for me, a beginner, I cannot imagine how Krishna look like. How do I have that love towards him? Because there's no physical contact. That's what I understand. But then, is it true that he is revealing to me through the spiritual master? Because sometimes we have physical contact, means like maybe attending his class or talking to him.
That's very important.
Is it true? Is it something like that? My understanding, is it correct?
Yeah, this says in the Bhagavatam, if I understand you correctly. So then the Bhagavatam, the first canto, talks about, Prabhupada speaks in the purport about the and actually there's a prayer that we say, Siguru Charana Padma, that love emanates from their bodies. So the Vapu, to begin with, is very important. Vapu meaning the physical association, that the spiritual master is there. So not only the message enters through our ear, and if we are sincere, that it will go to our heart and remain, longer than just coming one ear and going out the other. And at the same time, he's showering us with tremendous amount. It's like when we go to the shower and we take showers, some little bit of water, it comes in the body. And the spiritual master, that he's showering us with these particles of Brahm. Prabhupada calls them saffron particles. And what are those particles? Is Brahm that he feels. So that is content. And then the other thing is that, we tend to see it in a material way. So if I love God, I cannot love the other one. And it's different in the spiritual level. Our heart will become even bigger to accommodate that. The relationship, it will be a little different as we grow. So if the spiritual master is actually assisting Nikunja Juna, he's assisting, that's very high. He's assisting Radha Krishna, Jugal. So being with him, we'll end up being one of those little servants that, whether you're a Gopa or a Gopi, that will assist for this Ras, this ultimate, the reunion, the meeting, Radha Krishna Jugal. Jugalamila, there's a song, beautiful, the meeting of Sri Radha and Krishna. That's what the Gopis are always anxious to orchestrate, especially on Radharani's camp or group. Is they're always trying to make sure that, and it's very difficult as you read, and you will read in the future, Braj, the pastimes of Braj, the pastimes of Vrindavan, how difficult it was for Radha Krishna to meet. It wasn't just like that. It's very, it has a lot of obstacles. One of them is Radharani's mother-in-law and her sister-in-law, Jatila and Kutila. And they're always there, thinking, I'm going to catch Radharani being unfaithful. And
this pastor, I don't understand. Yeah,
but they're all to churn emotions. We can't, a spiritual life doesn't that we're emotionless.
In our material world, this is not allowed. So I don't understand that
right,
like unfaithful wife or not a chaste wife, but here it's not allowed. But in the pastime it's allowed. This part I still don't understand. I still haven't got the how to say, the feeling of it. I still don't understand. Maybe it'll come.
It'll come by continual practice.
Follow the rules and regulations.
Also chanting. That's part of the regulation that the spiritual master said chant.
Of course.
Every day you chant. Every day follow. These rules and regulations. And so every day we do our practice, like what you do, and then hearing it. Once we sit to read or to, then we'll get some things from more and more. This transcendental literature. I mean, and it happens among those who have practiced 40, 50 years. Wow, I read this book so many times, but I never saw this. Wow, now you attain a new realization, even a deeper one. And so that will come. It will come to you. But there's always the help, the great help of, because it says that the guru is the outer manifestation of super soul. Like, for example, Prabhupada, I went to one of the lectures in Los Angeles, 1974, evening time. Prabhupada gave a lecture, and at the end of it, he's asked us if we liked it. And he said, I did. That's super soul.
Mm.
So when he writes, when the spiritual master writes, he's not, he's being transparent via media. It's the Lord who's writing, actually. Kaviraj Goswami says, I know that Radhamadana Mohan, they asked me not to say, but I have to, because it'll be a debt of ingratitude not to be thankful. But it's this Chaitanya Charitamrita is their book. They are dictating. I'm the puppet. The Govinda Bhashya, the Baladev Vidyabhushana Prabhu, his commentary, modern commentary on Brahma Sutra and how he establishes. He says that he was actually wondering, what should I do? Should I write it? Should I not? And then in front of Govindaji, the deity of Rupa Goswami, the garland came down. So he saw the sign that, yes, you have to do it. But he himself, he says, it's not my commentary. It's not Baladev Vidya. We said that. Well, of course, we always give credit to the great Vaishnavas and their service. But it is ultimately it's the Lord who's doing it, speaking. So.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Okay, better understand.
Baba Trini Prabhu and Hari Prabhu, I just want to tell you too, I thank you for that wonderful music.
Oh, it's her doing. It's her doing.
Are you, who's the male singing in there?
Different artists.
Varaha, it's Tota Gopinath from Australia. His brother was Paramarupa, who ran the Bhaktivedanta tape ministry.
Okay.
And Govinda Dutt, who's a devotee in Los Angeles, who joined in the 80s. And he was actually a famous singer before also. On different songs,
Different artists.
We recorded it at the Los Angeles Temple, and the temple just provided.
So how's it going right now? Like, are you, are devotees buying this, like downloading it still? Like, are you selling CDs and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really sell CDs because people don't buy them very often anymore, but I have them for sale, but I don't really have a setup for it right now because I'm not very good at internet.
But that's kind of like the step towards. We have put things in YouTube and other mediums that the internet companies that would promote. So her songs are. And our songs are being played around the planet.
We weren't together when I did
radios.
those two albums, Songs of India and Krishna songs. And then later on, we played for Rath Yatras for 12 years. And 1 year, the sound engineer, whose uncle is actually Roshangi's husband, his Raghavindu's nephew, still is a well-known sound engineer. So he did a live recording of our Rath Yatra performance 1 year, and we released an album, and it won the Hawaii Music Awards for Best World Music.
And that's an album we did together,
Yeah.
and we had some famous musicians.
There were still record stores then, so it was in what was the name of that company? Tower Records. You could buy it.
Oh yeah. Tower Records, like that's a very famous company.
Right.
Yeah, and we were like in the middle, and also that once we got the awards, we were called by famous radio.
We didn't participate. We
dropped the ball.
We didn't go to the different award ceremonies, and we didn't do
venues and
venues. We didn't go. We were supposed to be on radio shows, and
they did invite us. But the thing is that we started to associate with very high devotees, and we drop everything to do parikrama, to do pilgrimage to Vrindavan, to go to Mayapur, Navadvip for Gurpurnim, and so twice a year we will go to India, and work. We had to ourselves produce the second CD, the album and the book with our means. So yeah, that was kind of.
So did you write all the songs yourself?
On those two
albums,
I wrote all but Planting the Seed, which was Tota Gopinath. And Tota Gopinath was kind of a famous singer in Australia and in New Zealanders. And he was on the album with I forget the name of the devotee, but there was an album he had, Waters and the Cosmic Bubbles in the Cosmic Ocean.
Yes.
Okay, so he was on that album too. So
the thing is with these children's songs is that it expresses the mood of Krishna in Goloka so wonderfully, because ultimately Krishna is just a little boy. So these songs really kind of draw you into that innocent kind of childish, childlike innocence and playfulness with Krishna and his pastimes. I just find them I find some of them so profound. It's just so wonderful.
Well, I actually started I was writing songs before I was devotee, but I was with the Traveling Roadshow before it became the Radha Damodar buses, and I actually bought the first buses with my grandparents' money. Yeah, and so at one point, Mangalananda didn't want to sing, so I was the lead singer for the Traveling Roadshow, and someone had written some songs and he left, and I took one of them and added a verse, and then I just, so then I left and I was with the Los Angeles Temple, and we had a band and I was singing with them, and then Prabhupada got upset with the Traveling Roadshow and closed it, and they said, oh well, we shouldn't do songs in English with Western instruments anymore. So we stopped having a band at the Los Angeles Temple, and Vishnu John used to do puppet shows at the temple, and the puppet shows were still going on. So Sahadevi came and asked me one day if I could write songs to introduce the puppet shows. So the first one was actually Haribol Varaha. And then the next puppet show was about Lord Nrsimhadev. So every week I would write a song to go with the puppet show. And
so did they do a puppet show on the Shamantaka jewel too?
There was a puppet show on the Shamantaka jewel, but that was in the 80s, I think. So anyway, we were presenting Sudama Brahman, and Srila Prabhupada was coming to the performance, and they set up, and it was before the temple room was where it is now. So they set up a Vyasa Sun for him, and he didn't show up. So I went ahead and sang the song, and Srila Prabhupada came and listened to me in the place where the landing that goes into the temple room. And he told Nanda Kumar it was very nice and went back up. So that's the only time I ever sang for Srila Prabhupada. And I didn't know he was there. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have been able to. But so I continued writing songs, and then.
Were you trained vocally, like professionally or anything?
Not when I was young, but later on, a devotee's father was in charge of the musical department in UCLA. He gave me some opera lessons once, and then I I studied with Puneet Goswami in India for, he's with the Radha, what temple? Vallabha? Yeah.
This is Vallabhacharya.
So I didn't really study music when I was young.
Very, very nice. Anyway, I'm exhausted.
Jai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Check out the videos. Jai.
Jai, Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Jai. We'll see you next time. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to the Vaishnavas. Jai.
Jai.